So let's go back in time. It's the turn of the 20th century, and physics is in a bit of a crisis. I mean, a real cosmic contradiction. It was like a fundamental law of the universe had been broken. And the clues, well, they just weren't adding up. The case had gone completely cold. So let's do what any good detective would do and examine the evidence. Okay, so here's the heart of the mystery, the thing that was bugging everybody. Physicists had found something really, really weird. The speed of light in a vacuum is constant. It's always the same. And it doesn't matter if you're standing still or if you're zooming towards a light beam in a spaceship, its speed never changes. Now, that might not sound like a big deal, but this one simple fact threatened to bring pretty much all of classical physics crashing down. You see, on one side, you have this beautiful, common-sense world of Newton and Galileo, right? If you're on a train going 50 miles an hour and you throw a ball forward at 10, somebody on the ground sees that ball going 60 miles an hour. Velocities just add up. Simple. But on the other side, you have Maxwell's equations, which are the bedrock of electromagnetism. And they insisted that the speed of light, we call it c, is always c, not c plus the speed of your train. Both of these theories were unbelievably successful, but they just couldn't both be right. They were completely incompatible. And you have to understand, this wasn't some tiny little rounding error they could just sweep under the rug. No, this was a full-blown crisis. It meant that our deepest, most fundamental understanding of space and time and motion had a massive hole in it. One of these pillars of physics had to be wrong. Or maybe, just maybe, both of them were just telling part of the story. And then a young patent clerk named Albert Einstein steps onto the scene. He starts not by questioning the evidence, but by laying down a new rule. He basically said, look, the laws of physics have to be the same for everyone, as long as they aren't accelerating. The rules of the universe can't just change because you happen to be on a train moving at a nice, steady speed. This really simple, elegant idea, that became his starting point. Einstein's genius, really, was to take these two clues that seem to contradict each other and just accept them both. He said, okay, what if the speed of light is constant for everybody? And what if the laws of physics are the same for everybody? If both of those things are true, then something else has to bend. And that something else was our everyday idea of absolute space and absolute time. He proposed they weren't fixed at all. They were flexible. They were relative. And if you accept that, you get some truly mind-bending results. I mean, seriously, weird stuff. To keep the speed of light the same for everyone, the universe basically plays tricks with space and time. So the faster you move, the slower your clock ticks compared to someone who's standing still. That spaceship you're in, it literally gets shorter in the direction it's moving. And get this, even the idea of right now becomes personal. Two things that happen at the exact same time for you might happen at different times for someone else. This is where the mathematician Hermann Minkowski came in and gave us a whole new map of reality. He showed that space and time aren't two different things. No, they're woven together into a single four-dimensional fabric called space-time. And this light cone you're looking at, it's like the new rulebook for cause and effect. An event, like a flash of light right at the center, can only affect things inside its future light cone. Why? Because nothing can travel faster than light to carry that influence. It's the ultimate speed limit. So with these bizarre new rules for space-time, it seems like the case of the constant speed of light was finally closed. Special relativity was a huge success. But there was one giant, glaring problem. Einstein's new theory worked perfectly as long as you were moving in a straight line at a constant speed. It had absolutely nothing to say about acceleration, or its very mysterious cousin, gravity. And Einstein himself was really bothered by this. You can almost hear his frustration in his own words. Space-time, in his first theory, was just a passive stage. You know, it affected how things moved, but nothing could affect it. No matter how big, how massive, it couldn't leave a dent on space-time. And that just felt wrong to him. It felt like a one-sided conversation. The stage itself had to be part of the play. And then he had what he later called the happiest thought of his life. And this is where things get really cool. He realized that the feeling of being pulled down by gravity is completely identical to the feeling of being pushed up by acceleration. If you were in a closed box, you would have no way of knowing if you were sitting on Earth or rocketing through space at just the right speed. This incredible insight, well, it was the key that unlocked everything. Okay, so let's walk through his famous thought experiment together. First, just picture yourself inside a windowless elevator
way out in deep space, far from any planet. And there's a rocket strapped to the top, pushing it up, accelerating you so you feel a force pinning you to the floor. Now, you take a ball out of your pocket and you just let it go. What happens? Well, from your point of view, it falls straight down and smacks into the floor. An outside observer would say the floor accelerated up to meet the ball. But for you, inside, the result is the same. The ball falls.
All right, scenario number 2. The elevator is now sitting perfectly still on the surface of the Earth. You're feeling that familiar pull of gravity. You take out the same ball and you drop it. And of course, what happens? It falls to the floor. Seemingly for a totally different reason, right? So here it is, the million-dollar question. If you are stuck inside that box with no windows, is there any test, any experiment you could possibly do to figure out if you're feeling a gravitational field or just accelerating? And Einstein's answer was a huge, resounding no, you can't. And that leads to this absolutely staggering revelation. If you can't tell the difference between gravity and acceleration, then maybe they're the same thing. Gravity isn't some invisible force reaching out and pulling you down. It's just the shape of space-time. Mass and energy warp the very fabric of reality, and we're all just following the straightest possible path through that curved four-dimensional landscape. The Earth isn't pulling you down, it's bending the space-time around you. In Einstein's more technical language, the gravitational field literally determines the metrical laws, the rules of geometry, for space-time. So what does that mean? Well, out in empty flat space, parallel lines never cross. The angles of a triangle add up to 180 degrees. That's the Euclidean geometry we all learned in school. But near something massive, like a planet or a star, that geometry gets warped. Space-time is no longer passive. It's an active, dynamic player, constantly being told how to bend and curve by all the stuff inside of it. So after all that, what are the big takeaways? What should you remember from this cosmic detective story? First, just forget about a universal clock or a fixed grid for space. Reality is this four-dimensional fabric called space-time. Second, the speed of light is the one cosmic law that never, ever breaks, and it forces space-time itself to be flexible. And finally, the grand finale. Gravity isn't a force, it's just geometry. And that really brings us to the edge of what we currently know. Einstein completely rewrote our story of gravity by showing us it was just a feature of space-time's geometry. And that just has to make you wonder, what else might be hiding in plain sight? Could the other forces of nature, electromagnetism, the nuclear forces, could they also just be illusions? Different wrinkles in an even deeper, stranger geometry of the cosmos? Now that is the next great mystery.